We're going to look at Poor Bloody Infantry. Over the top, it's Somme, July 1916, obviously a World War I game. This is produced by Minden Games. They do these small, they do a Panzer Digest magazine that they include one of these games in, and then they also sell these as a zip edition. They have a couple solo games that are pretty kind of stripped down, more about the experience necessarily than super fine-tuned game mechanics or anything like that. This is actually pretty fun from my short experience with it. It is more of an experience. The rules are pretty simple. We're the British down here. They're trying to move across no man's land into the German trenches, crossing this little wire line here. We'll do some bombardment up front to try to knock this out. The game uses cards, and I busted out some French playing cards here to do this with. They're actually American style. It's just a picture of the Eiffel Tower. Then you'll need 2 dice. The counters they come on kind of cardstock, glossy finish, and then I just mounted them to the back of an old notebook. And then we have some pinned and crawl markers and the German machine guns back here. So the play, initially we do our bombardment, and then we move, we're fired at, and then there's an artillery round. I didn't mention we do a bombardment, there's an event turn, or an event phase, we move, we're fired at, and then if the event phase has unlocked artillery, we do artillery. So it's, like I said, it's pretty straightforward. It's a lot of card drawing, which I tend not to like, but it actually works in this because it's so simple, and it's so easy to play that the card draws actually, they just work. So we get a priority of either targeting trenches or wire. I'm going to go for wire because that's just seems to make the most sense. Victory is mostly determined by how many guys get into the trench back here. They're still probably going to incur some casualties back here, but we need to get this wire knocked out. So what happens is on an ace through 9, the wire is going to come off. 9 through king, it doesn't. So we draw 1 card at a time, and this will come off. So it's just that easy. That stays. That won't come off. You get the gist. So our preliminary bombardment was actually pretty successful. And then we do a check for machine guns, and these got taken out, which is good for us. One thing I didn't mention is we have 40 guys down here, 40 troops. 41 actually, there's an officer denoted by the red text. And then part of the game is you're supposed to pick one guy to be, and we'll pick him for obvious reasons. And a good buddy of mine is by the last name of Allen, so we're going to be battle buddies in there. So now we move. The initial turn you can only move 1 square. After that you can move 2 squares with one of them being diagonal, and you can never move backward. And we're going to try to get across the board. So I'll do this. They're there, and now we do a fire check. We're going to check for each square, and a spade will hit that square. Okay, so now we're going to have to go through each of these guys and draw a card for them. We'll do Hicks. We draw a card, and if it's ace through 3, we roll on a die, and then if that die is 1 or 2, it's killed, 3 or 4 is wounded, 5 and 6 are okay. So the squares hit, this guy is hit. There are modifiers. You can see I've penciled in down here. So it's minus 0 for that, or plus 0 for that. Soldier is upright is -1. And then 2 machine guns in play is -0. So we're at -1. So this is a 2. Then we roll 3. He's wounded, which means he flips up and then he can't move. So he's kind of wallowing in the mud there. So I'll draw for the rest of these guys. Alright, just that one wounded. And then immediately we have to check the next square. So we'll check Walker, and he's going to make it okay. That whole square was actually okay. Hey, another one. Edwards. It's okay. That was three is good. That means we remove a machine gun. There's only one left, which means we're at a +1 on the 2-hit card draw. So we are through turn 5. Only one guy down, which is actually really good. I think I probably had 4 or 5 guys dead last time. We have 2 wounded. 3 stuck in wire, and about 15 that are already into the trench. So we'll move into turn 6. Roll our event. Our last event added another machine gun. This is German artillery. It's already in effect. That's not going to do anything. So these guys are going to get off. Everyone except the wire guys get off. And they have to make a check. So Stanley didn't draw a heart, so he gets to move normally. Fleming also gets to move. And Green also gets to move. Check for fire. Trying to stay away from clubs. Those guys are good. We roll for artillery. 1 card. S7 is G7. Nobody's there. Advance. This is our last turn. 4 means we have to make a pin check. Alright, everyone is off the board. And here's how we tally victory. This was actually a pretty easy run. It's probably because of that wire. But to check for victory, we take the number of machine gun units in place and multiply that by 9. So we're at 18. Then we... oh. Yeah, I forgot to... I have to draw 2 cards first. Ace through 6 means no casualties. King means roll 1 die and check for that many casualties. This one's okay. We have to do 5 casualty checks. I'll roll 5 dice here. 1 guy is dead. 1 guy is wounded. I hate to have to pick that, so I'm not gonna look. This guy is wounded. And this guy's dead. So now we do that check. We're down, we have 5 wounded, or 3 wounded, 2 dead, so we're down 5, which leaves a total of 36 guys out. This is 2 times 9 is 18. Now what we'll do is for each of these guys we'll make a die roll. If our total is greater than the 18 for this machine gun emplacement, then we'll win. Obviously with 36 guys left, even if they all roll 1s, we're above that, so that's a victory. That's actually a pretty stunning victory. So that's the game. There are some optional rules, there's some different setups that you can play with. But really it's just kind of playing it out. There is kind of a multiplayer where each person is a... you still have this many guys out, but each person is also another counter, and they're controlling maybe a half, or each has a row, each person has a row or 2, trying to get your guys to safety. And it's still obviously somewhat cooperative because you're trying to storm that trench. So like I said at the beginning, pretty light, kind of more of an experience. But it plays smoothly. The rules work, which is something I always look for in these desktop published games. One that I could definitely see myself bringing on a business trip just to set up and kind of tinker with a glass of wine, that kind of thing. Pretty interesting little game, very straightforward. Poor Bloody Infantry.